Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the regular meeting of the Foxborough School Committee. Today is September 29th, 2014. Our agenda this evening is to recognize any visitors, to review our minutes from prior meeting. We have, as always, a teaching and learning highlight, one I'm very excited about tonight. We will conduct a wellness curriculum review, followed by a review of the superintendent's proposed goals for 2014-2015 school year. The agreement for the Bi-County Educational Collaborative, an update on fiscal year 15 budget, acceptance of donations, and then any other matters that anyone would like to bring up.
That's great. They're finally,
You
whoever's updated our technology, that's great.
You like the,
I like that.
You like the technology.
I think that technological update is excellent. I've wanted that for years.
I know a lot of us have the Patriot spirit this evening, and I know our viewers would like us to conclude in time for kickoff. We'll do the best we can. We also have a
Wow.
special day with the Patriots tomorrow that we'll talk about later.
Yes.
So hence my my salute to the Patriots with my uniform this evening.
Well, our guest of honor, too, our highlight is saluting the
Yes,
Patriots, too.
if I had known that he was going to wear his shirt, I definitely would have known it was okay to wear mine. But we'll get to him in 1 minute. So do we have any visitors who want to be recognized? Yes, sir. Would you please state your name? I'm not sure you look familiar to me.
My name's Joe Garrity. I'm a student from Foxborough High School. I just wanted to let the committee know that all the parents by today or Saturday have received their child's MCAS results. And just saying that the next meeting will do a overview of part 1, then the November 3rd meeting will be baselines, benchmarks, and the MCAS part 2.
We think.
Yep.
Maybe, if all goes well.
Okay.
Thank you, Joe.
Thank you.
He always keeps us on our toes.
Yes, he does.
Any other visitors who'd like to be recognized tonight? If not, we'll take a look at the minutes from September 15th. I know I had one comment, but let me open it to the committee first. If anybody had any thing they'd like to say? Nope. Good, Tina? Bevy, good
No,
with the
I'm
minutes?
okay.
Steve, go
Could I
ahead.
just ask, and I could be wrong, but when, on the minutes of September 15th, under the heading Back to School Update, bottom line of the paragraph, I wondered if we want to put in the minutes that we were going to look into a Metco tutor with or without the funding that we are enjoying. I don't know, I just didn't know if we were going to look into that and the merits of it. I thought I mentioned that at the meeting last time.
Oh,
Remember, we had an uptick in the Metco money, and we were going to use some of it for tutoring, and
yeah, so
sorry if I'm a little foggy.
if I misunderstood, but I assumed that if you wanted to have a discussion about that, it would be during our budget season.
oh, okay, that's fine. I just didn't know if that's it, so.
Right,
thanks.
not for this year, because now we have the money for this year in the
Right.
MECO grant.
Okay, that's
So
fine.
if I assumed that if we were gonna discuss ensuring that in the future, that would be, part of our
Perfect.
budget
We can
discussion
put
in
it in or leave
December.
it out, it's either way. No problem. I like the minutes as they are.
You sure?
Yep,
Okay.
and we take them as written.
Okay, anybody else, any comments about the minutes? I had one comment I'd like to offer to the committee just for a potential edit. It relates to, just pour up my other copy, under the donations from the class of 1994 and the notion of the memorial tree. There's a sentence that says that the tree selection was reviewed, planting location, wording of the plaque, and that I noted the consensus of the committee is to move forward with the project. I'd just like to propose we add a clause there at the end of that sentence that says, subject to approval by Ms. Myers-Pacla and Mr. Yukna, because we did spend a few minutes talking about the need to review the plan.
Yeah, I think
Everybody okay with that?
Yes, I
Okay
think
with
that's a good addition.
Do you want to say administrative staff as opposed to targeting, just because we want to include
Would
the
that be better?
superintendent too?
Stakeholders.
To school administration.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Janet, so just same sentence continues, subject to approval by school administration.
Would you like a motion as amended to,
Thank you.
motion to accept as amended?
I'll second.
Thank you. Any other discussion? All in favor? 5-0. Thank you. Okay, so we're going to move along efficiently tonight, but this next item we're going to spend as much time as we can on because we're very proud of this young gentleman, and I'm going to turn it over to the superintendent to introduce this teaching and learning highlight.
Yes, so I would love to invite Jack Brightman up to the guest table along with Mrs. Abrams. While they're getting situated, we had a little moment before where I'm thinking, have we ever had a student that won $1,000 for the school? And something vague got in my head, and I asked Mrs. Abrams, and she reminded me that his older sister actually won this a few years ago. So this seems to run in the family. So that's quite a point that I want to make so that we can remember that this is the second student we've had that's earned $1,000 for his school, along with quite a wonderful recognition for himself through a lot of hard work and effort. So I'm going to turn it over to Mrs. Abrams to explain it. Dr. Burrows has the video of the Math Moves You project. So we can go in any order you want. Would you like to talk a little bit about it? See the video?
Can we do the video first?
Sure.
Sure.
How Math Moves Me More Than You Invent by Jack Bright.
Just taking a moment for the video.
I'm Jack, but there is nothing school is math. Follow me today and come see how math moves me more than you invent. Make pancakes when I get up. Normally, 1 cup of pancake mix makes 10 to 12 pancakes. This morning, my family really likes pancakes. Everybody wants 3 each, so I wanted to make 15 pancakes. I had to figure out how much pancake mix, milk, olive oil, and eggs to put in to make this amount. The recipe for 10 to 12 pancakes is 1 cup of dry pancake mix, 3/4 cups of milk, 1 tablespoon of olive oil, and 1 egg. To make 15 pancakes, I will have to multiply each ingredient by 1 1/2. This is the math I did for the morning. Pancake mix was easy because I just had to do 1 1/2 times 1, which equals 1 1/2. I did the same for the olive oil and the egg, but for the egg, I had to round up from 1 1/2 eggs to 2 eggs, because you can't just use half an egg. In order to figure out the amount of milk, I had to turn 1 1/2 into an improper fraction, 3/2. Then I multiplied 3/4 times 3/2. To multiply these fractions, I had multiplied the 2 top numbers first, and then the 2 bottom numbers. 3 times 3 is 9, 4 times 2 is 8. This gave me the fraction 9/8. Then I had to reduce 9/8 to 1 1/8. In the afternoon on Sundays, I play basketball for the Pacers in my town's league. I'm number 2. During today's basketball game, I scored 5 points from 2 baskets and 1 foul shot, which brought me up to a total of 32 points this season. After today's game ended, I wanted to figure out how many points I've averaged per game this season, and also how many points I might get total this season if I continue on my current pace. So far this season, I have scored 32 points over the 5 games my team has had. And 32 divided by 5 equals 6 4/10 points. So far this season, I have averaged 6 4/10 points per game. To figure out how many points I might get the rest of the season if I stayed at this pace, I had to multiply 6 4/10 times 4 games we have left, which is 25 6/10 points. Then lastly, I wanted to figure out how many points I would get this season if I continued on this pace. I did 32 plus 26, which I rounded up from 25 and 6/10, which equals 58 points. On Sunday nights, I like to watch the New England Patriots games with my dad. They're from my hometown, Foxborough. Tonight we are watching the divisional playoffs between the Patriots, who will obviously win, and the Indianapolis Colts.
It's a cute picture. It's adorable.
During the game against the Indianapolis Colts, LeGarrette Blount had a total of 166 rushing yards, 24 carries, and 4 touchdowns. After the game ended, I wanted to figure out how many yards LeGarrette Blount averaged per carry and per quarter. This is the math I did. I divided LeGarrette's 166 rushing yards by his 24 carries to get 6 9/10 yards per carry. So LeGarrette Blount averaged 6 9/10 yards per carry. Then, to figure out how many yards LeGarrette Blount averaged per quarter, I divided his 166 rushing yards by 4 quarters to get 41 5/10 per quarter. So LeGarrette Blount averaged 41 5/10 yards per quarter. That's how math moves me, morning, noon, and night. The end. Thanks for watching.
It's terrific.
Great.
Watchers may not know, but Jack is one of 150 students across the nation who have won this Math Moves You competition. And not only did he demonstrate how math moves him morning, noon, and night, he also used technology beautifully, had wonderful transitions. He demonstrated how technology is important and also how math affects his life, his fantasy football league perhaps, and all the other aspects of it. So he has done a fabulous job. And in doing such a fabulous job, he also contributed to the school. And we decided that we're going to get 2 iPads to help other students through math apps on the iPad to like math and work as hard at it as Jack does. So now it's your turn.
So, there's really not much I need to say. You said a lot. So yeah, worked hard on it, and
How did you find out you won?
they sent me a letter in March, I think. Yeah.
When did you submit this, Jack?
February, the night before the Super Bowl.
Oh, well.
So you didn't have very long to wait. Can you please tell us what grade you're in this year?
I'm in 7th.
7th. So you won this as a 6th grader.
Yeah.
How's that?
How long did it take you to put the video together and do this?
It took me a few days.
I really
Working
liked
hard.
how you did integrate the math into your daily life, and I really hope the Patriots give you lots of numbers to work with.
Yes.
Big ones.
Always nice.
Lots of yards. But you did a great job. Congratulations.
Thanks.
How did you come up with this idea?
Well, they give you the topic to do, and then you just kind of gotta work with what they give you and think about how math could integrate with your life. It's not that hard. It's there a lot.
Well, when you think about it, it's there a lot. But I think that, your family is also kind of a math family. And so they have a lot of support for you and encouragement. And he sort of said that his mother made him do it, which is good motivation, isn't it?
Yeah.
And guess what? She was right. Mothers usually are, right?
Good point.
Good point.
Very,
What a
very wise
diplomat.
answer. Timely
Student
and
council
wise.
There's a career in diplomacy coming, I think.
Officer
Yes,
next
in
year.
addition to anything
as an
else.
8th grader. But Jack is, a very special individual, and we can see how important math is, and all the little pieces of math. And if this helps other students understand, wow, math is in my everyday life, then you have done your job, along with a select group of very dedicated academic students. in the middle school, and you've done exactly what Raytheon wants by making this understandable to kids who might not like math.
Yeah.
So,
I also thought you made great choices, like you picked topics that other kids could really identify with, like who doesn't want to eat pancakes? And who doesn't
mean
love
kids?
sports when
How
you're your
about
age?
adults?
So
I'm
I
very
thought you really
interested in
picked
that.
some really good topics that kids would say, oh my goodness, there's math in that, I like that. So I thought your choices were excellent.
Thanks.
Mrs. Abrams, did you show the video on the Daily too?
well, we're in discussions on that. Jack's not sure that he wants to do it, but I can recognize him on the Daily too, and I've written him a letter, and we'll do that. You were less intimidating than the student body of the Ahern, right?
Just a little.
Well, come visit us more
actually.
often.
Understood. But I think it's a great thing that to share with your classmates, though, because some of the kids you go to school with might not think they like math, but they might be doing numbers every single day for their fantasy football leagues or to figure out how many points they want to average per game to get to a certain goal. And you could really be an inspiration to some other kids. You are an
But if you
inspiration.
don't want to, that's okay too.
That's right, too.
Because it's the pretty rare student that wants to take a piece of their work and say, let's show the whole school tomorrow morning.
True enough.
So, no, I get that. It's okay. It's your work. Whatever you choose, it's all good.
Yes,
Maybe later.
absolutely.
We can do that later. So,
Nice job.
Jack, I have just two questions. Number one, where does math rank in your list of favorite subjects?
One or two. I'm not sure.
What's the other one?
Science.
Science.
I like science.
All right, you ready for the second question?
Yeah.
Is it true that your sister taught you everything you know about math?
I would like to disagree with that.
You know what? Good for you. Congratulations. You did a great job. We're all very proud of you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Congratulations. You should be so proud. As his parents, grandparents, and siblings should be.
Now, Jack, if I told you you can get up and leave now and go home and finish homework and watch the Patriots, would that be a good thing to say? Then you can leave, buddy.
I think there's a 7th grade math test tomorrow.
Oh, well, you better study before the Patriots begin then.
Nice to meet you all. Congratulations. to all of you.
Congratulations.
Happy birthday.
And his, you know, his sister Caitlin, when she was a brownie, they had read a little book about soldiers, and they made care packages and sent them to both Bill and Sarah while they were in Afghanistan. So this is a family that is outreaching a lot.
That's great. So we have some new members at the table. One new member and one, her second meeting. Is that right, Mikkel? Second meeting? All right. So, Mrs. Spinelli, would you like to introduce our new
Yes, Mikkel, thanks for coming back for the second meeting. Now we have you. So we introduced Mikkel Enriquez last meeting, and we have Melissa Lynch as well. Hi, Melissa. Welcome. Is your mom Christine?
Yes.
Love you.
And your name is what again?
Melissa Lynch.
Melissa Lynch.
And what year, Melissa?
I'm a junior.
You're a junior. And what brings you to this fine table?
Honestly, well, I'm part of the e-board at the high school, and Mrs. Carla Dulo asked if I wanted to join, and I said yes. So
Good.
I was more than happy to do it.
Well, we appreciate your time commitment, and even more importantly, we would appreciate your opinion. And like we told Mikkel at the last meeting, anytime you want to chime in on something, all you have to do is just raise your hand, and we'll recognize you, and your opinion is very, very valuable to us.
Okay.
Okay, so you don't have to just sit there, you participate. Deal?
Deal.
All right.
And so just to give you a little background, which sometimes I forget to do, and we both forget. So the voting board members are the 5 school committee members. If you could each just raise your hand so she can see who that is. And we might actually want to give her some names. I don't vote. Dr. Burrows doesn't vote. Mr. Eugen, the business manager, doesn't vote. Ms. Gracia, you don't vote. They're 5. They're voting, but we do participate in the conversation. So when it comes to a vote, it's the 5 of them that do the actual voting to approve things. Okay. So did you want to have a go around with names for Melissa's sake? Or?
Sure.
All right.
You want to start, Mrs. Lord?
Sure. I'm Bevy Lord, and I was a teacher. I retired from Foxborough High School.
Nice to meet you.
And I am excited because the Spanish exchange program I started in 1996, I get to be their chaperone on their field trip tomorrow. So the rains aren't going to come until 3 o'clock after we get back, and the craft thank you and recognition is going on.
That's right.
Hi, I'm Tina Bellinger. This is my third year on the committee. I have a son who's a freshman at Foxborough High School and another son who's in 7th grade at the Ahern. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
I'm Mrs. Spinelli, the school superintendent. Before.
I'm Bruce Gardner. I have a freshman and an 8th grader.
And I'm Amy Bernos, the assistant superintendent. Welcome.
I'm Steve Uden. I have a freshman daughter and a 7th grade daughter. And I'm really psyched that you're here. Thanks, both of you, for doing this. Participate. Get involved with us.
I'm Katie Adair, and I've been on the committee 9 years now, starting my 9th year, and I have 3 children, all who have gone through Foxborough Public Schools. My youngest just graduated last year.
Well,
So
you
welcome.
probably know Nick Adair's name.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So welcome. Thank you for participating.
And I'm Janet Gracia, Secretary for the School Committee and to the Superintendent. And we'll have a nameplate for you next time you come.
Thanks to Janet.
Frank, we've just been introducing our new committee member, student rep Melissa Lynch, who's a sophomore.
So much.
Junior.
You came just in time to snap her photo.
They both just came from a game, that's why they were.
Yeah.
Which game?
Volleyball.
How'd you do?
We lost. Yeah, we lost.
That's okay. I think this is your photo op. If we might as well let you do
Dunkin'
that.
Donuts down.
Yeah.
Even though they don't get enough advertising.
I know.
And this would be so nice. Thank you so much.
So while Frank's clicking away, we're going to start on to the next topic, which Mikkel and Melissa can both chime in on, which is our wellness curriculum review.
Yes, I'll turn it right over to Dr. Burdos.
All right, I'm going to ask Ms. Erskine if she will come up, and I don't know if you want Sue to come up with you as well. We, last year, as part of our curriculum review, we looked at wellness, and we did not have the review at the end of the year because Ms. Erskine had a little one that took up her time at the very end of the year, but she still managed to have all of this done along with her team of 5 who worked on the K-12 wellness curriculum review last year. So they're going to talk about their study. One of the things that to point out is the Massachusetts curriculum standards for comprehensive health are 1999, so they're a little dated. And we checked, and they're not anywhere close to being changed. So one of the things that Ms. Erskine did was really went to the national standards, and I really just want to point out how thorough her team was with the number of tools that they used to really look to see the consistency, how comprehensive our curriculum for phys ed and health is, and really to get a complete picture of not just facilities, but instruction, curriculum, the high-quality teachers that we have in this district, and really exciting with the stuff that's happened at the high school. And the recommendations that came out really are more curriculum review kinds of changes, not any purchases and things, and she'll talk about that. So I'll turn it over.
Okay. Hi.
Hi.
So our team consisted of 5 members of the wellness department, 2 middle school teachers, Caitlin Lamoth-Vaughn and Dan Damish, 2 high school teachers, myself and John Gibbs, and then 1 elementary school teacher, Sue Burrows. And there was only 5 of us, and we got it done, a lot of work done in a short period of time. We had to have it done by February when I left on my maternity leave. So they did a great job doing extra work and things at home and really helping move the process along so we could do a great job but get it done in time also. The tools that we started with, since the Massachusetts frameworks are very dated, were created by the Department of Health and Human Services. They were called the PCAT and the HECAT. So Health Education Curriculum Analysis Tool and Physical Education Curriculum Analysis Tool. So they took us step by step through each standard and the curriculum and assessments and facilities and staffing and everything that you could imagine that a good physical education and health program would need, and kind of ranked how we fell along with everything. Then it helped us identify gaps, strengths, and weaknesses of the written curriculum. And it helped us show how we align to how well we align to the national standards. So that was the first thing that we started with. We did phys ed, and then we did health, and it gave us a lot of really good data to look at in areas where we were successful and areas where we also maybe were a little bit behind or needed improvement. Then we reviewed data from wellness investigations that Allie Johnson and I had done when we applied for grants for all of the buildings through NFL Play 60, which also gave us some statistics and data about minutes in physical education and topics that our curriculum covered and things like that. And then we used another evaluation tool for physical education by NASPE, which is the National Association for Sport and Physical Education, which kind of gave us just more of the same information, but kind of reassured us that we were going in the right direction. We looked at BMI and fitness testing data that we have collected, and we created a staff survey with questions about how helpful they thought the curriculum was and how thorough they thought it was, what types of different assessments they used on a daily basis for phys ed and health, just to get some more information. After completing all of the evaluations and gathering data, we identified what our strengths were for phys ed and what our weaknesses were for phys ed, and then we did the same for health and compiled just a big list of everything. We put those into recommendations and actions that were needed to implement each of our recommendations that we put in the report. Our overall findings were very positive. In the last 4 years, we've done a ton of curriculum work. We started 4 years ago with redoing the physical education curriculum. 3 years ago, we redid the high school health curriculum. So 4 years ago, we did the high school phys ed. 3 years ago, high school health curriculum. And then 2 years ago, we did the middle school health curriculum. So really all that was left at the end was middle school phys ed and elementary health and PE. So most of our weaknesses that we found were related to having a written, documented curriculum for middle school health and elementary PE and health. Not that we weren't doing great things in the curriculum, we just didn't have it written down on paper aligned with standards. So this summer, we had 3 curriculum teams that we set up, and we finished, Sue and I just looked at it today, and we highlighted all the needs that we had already finished.
Already, so
being that we're
on a good track.
Yeah. And the number that we came up with was 75% of our needs have already been addressed and improved in the curriculum just from this summer's curriculum work.
Wow.
So
That's an impressive response.
Yeah.
Like just that, you know what you want to do, you got to the work, you got so much of it done.
yeah, we had 3 teams this summer, so we had a team from each building, and we just went through the list and fixed what needed to be fixed and added what needed to be added, and it's going well on all levels so far. I've
Yeah,
checked in
I
with
think
everyone.
it's just nice to see something now in the written form. It's really nice to have that in your hands, and it's very impressive, I think. I think as a team, we did an amazing job. We worked some hard, long days, and well, at least we had air conditioning in the library, so it was good. But it was a great group of people that we really plugged along at a good pace.
Yeah, so at the high school level, some positive things that were identified that we had a comprehensive health and PE curriculum with detailed, common pacing guides and lesson plans for all teachers to use. Fitness testing data that shows significant student improvement with district-determined measures coming up, and with Baseline Edge, our teacher goals, we've centered around fitness testing and using the data that we collect to see what types of improvements students are making from the fall to the spring. And I think last year, don't quote me on this, but it was, I think about 86% of students improved by 5% or more in the mile run from the fall to the spring.
Do you have 80?
Yeah,
6%?
Yeah, around it was in the 80s that they improved, because that was one of our goal was to meet 80% improvement by a 5% time. And we modeled fitness focus days with a cardio component improvement, and we snuck in cardio in any way that we could creatively in the curriculum throughout the year, trying to do that. And we motivated the students with some bribing at the end at the end of the year.
It works. It
Bribing
works. I call it a cat.
Yeah.
Incentives.
We told them we would cancel the last 2 weeks of their fitness focus days if they improved by, if 80 of them percent improved by 5%, and they worked really hard. And I wasn't here, but they told me that they really did well in the mile run. Yeah.
Wow.
And common skills assessments in PE and health were a strength at the high school, as well as a variety of individual and team sport offerings. At the middle school, strengths were a comprehensive health education curriculum, a new fitness room that we were able to create through an NFL Play 60 grant that helps us link some training principles and fitness concepts that they're learning in the health education classroom into real life settings. So when they're learning about heart rate and pulses and BMI and all kinds of fitness concepts in the health classroom, they learn about the concepts and then they go down into the fitness center and they actually do a workout using things that they learned in their health classes. So that's been great. Fitness testing data from the middle school as well. And then last year and past years, we're collaborating with BU and bringing in the newest curriculums involved with nutrition. We just did Kicking Kitchen last year, which went really well. It's a TV-based health curriculum, kind of like based on iCarly, where the kids watch TV shows about cooking and nutrition and health, and then there's assessments online. And that's been great. Elementary.
In an elementary school, I think that, like Janelle addressed, that we really have made some nice improvements, and a lot of our positive things that we focused on are the elementary before and after school programs that we have been consistently offering now. Square Dance Club, Running Club, Nutrition Detectives comes in with our collaboration with the Y for third grade, which is really exciting and fun to do. Box, which is in the third year, early morning before school program that is of no cost to the students. Which
Is that well attended?
I have 42 third and fourth graders this session, which will be 11-week sessions, twice a week, Monday mornings and Thursday mornings at 8 o'clock. It's very well received and well attended. I know there's Taylor's doing one, and I think Burroughs started one this year also.
That's a pretty big commitment for those families to drop their children off
It is a
early.
very big commitment.
I think
It's a big commitment for Sue. That's impressive. She shows up early every morning as well.
And the kids are just so excited to be there. And one of the nice things we do about Box is I collaborate with the grade level teachers. One of the big things we try to help them learn to understand, for me and in the school, you are role models. So when you leave Box, how you go down the hall and how you enter the classroom. And one of the things that Box really likes to promote is that this will hopefully improve a child's ability to be attentive and learn. And I've gotten several positive comments back from teachers that they come in, they're so focused. And I always survey the children. And the comments are funny, like, I didn't yawn during Pledge Allegiance. I wasn't closing my eyes during math. So it's, it's kid-filtered comments, but they're so realistic. So the BOK, I think, has really been a nice add-on
So
bonus.
could you just quickly explain what the BOKS stands for?
Sure. BOKS is Building Our Kids' Success.
Right.
And it's founded by Reebok, and it's a free program, and the training is free, and you go up to their location in Canton, which is absolutely beautiful. And their premise is active bodies equals active minds. So is one of the things I really like that quote, because the literature right now is just exploding. The benefits of being physically active and the ability to improve learning has been really nice to see. So that's really some nice things that's going on, and I feel like our curriculum is really varied at the elementary enough that it doesn't focus solely on the competitive aspects of being active. We really promote what is it you like to do, what's fun for you. If it's pogo sticking, is it jumping rope, is it just running around for 3 or 4 minutes to get moving. But then we do focus in, the whole fitness component is also focused at the elementary level. Why is it warm up good for you? When do you stretch? What is the strengthening? We do handheld. How's your heart rate? How's your breathing? Why is your heart rate increased? So we take them through more of an oral basis for their learning versus assessment. I do word boards a lot at the end of class, write down 1 or 2 things that you learned today. So it's more of an oral or written, but it's not a specific data-driven assessment format. Let's see. So I think our needs were, one of the areas that we've discussed is now with really having that nice health curriculum in a written form, is having the resources to provide a quality health curriculum. So we don't always have a dedicated area to do our curriculum. or nor do we always have the resources like a smart board or things like that to present. So what we've tried to do is we tweaked it in the sense that we can make their health lessons as active as possible, so it's active learning, which isn't always possible, and there are videos and things like that and written work that we do like to pursue, and in the gym may not always be the best location because they think if I'm in the gym I should be moving. So I think one of the areas that we would like to see we feel a need for is if we can maybe pursue at some point in time, even if it's a shared location where we can do our health classes, so that it's in their mind that we're going down to do health in a certain area, and that's where we go to do health, like typical other curriculum-driven things like computer or music or art, so you have that focus. So I think that's one of the areas we would like to see her maybe pursue in. And I think for
talk about the summer work that we did on the curriculum to make it more active.
I just have a question.
Yeah.
Since
Okay.
we're on that, that popped out at me when I was reading this. That you have the Taylor School gym identified as not conducive to effective wellness instruction.
Mm-hmm.
Are you referring to all of the elementary schools or just to?
I think it
Taylor?
was
Just to the
Taylor, because of the way it's situated. The classrooms are all around the outside of the gym, which
Right.
sometimes I think for your instruction, I don't teach there, I'm at IGO, but I have been at Taylor, and I tend to be a loud teacher, so I wouldn't probably do very well over there. But your instruction, we use a lot of music, so I think sometimes you may have to tone down or water down some of the things that you might be able to allow the kids to be a little more creative or involved with physically. But
Certainly
I'm
not
not
the
want
first
to
time
speak.
we've heard this about the Taylor.
Yeah,
You know,
and I
that
don't want to
that
speak out of
design is
turn for
tough.
the teachers that teach there. It's pretty much, I'm conveying, I think, what the sense is for
Yeah, it's
that
a
location.
tough design.
Yeah.
We're not recommending you do anything about it.
No,
but,
it's just that
you know,
it-
I think at some point in the future, after we move the Borough project along and then go to the Taylor,
Somewhere in line.
somewhere in that line, you know, I
Have
don't
to
know
be
who'll be here
able to
when I finally get to that, but I think that certainly the gym is something that everybody acknowledges is not an ideal classroom.
I know
for
Katie and Bevy and I have
PE.
heard this story before, and you can imagine how challenging that is. I mean, that's just a tough environment,
Yeah.
just from a design standpoint.
And I think it hasn't limited the quality of what's provided there in the area of wellness. It just, it's a smaller area.
Yeah.
And
You
it-
just have to get creative
Yeah.
with lessons, and the kids are good too. They try to not hit the walls and stay quiet.
My kids went there years ago, and it was the same design then. But it's limiting, but I think the people who teach there do a pretty good job using that space. It's just not what we would hope for.
When they go outside as much as possible,
Yes, they
too,
do.
in the good weather.
In relation to the nutrition component of the health curriculum, we have this really great set of equipment that has the My Plate mats, and it has the bean bags, and it has all the food groups, and they're color coded. So we do a lot of interactive game playing and group playing and matching your nutrition and your portion controls. So different games like, you know, toothbrush and tag for dental. We have dental come in also. This year, we're going to try to get Safe Routes to School come in and do a bike safety, which is a component within our curriculum now. So we use as many outside resources that are free as possible, which is nice to do. So I think to make our curriculum from the health nutritional standpoint is interactive and moving as a focus is whenever we can is really important for us.
Janelle, were you guys going to review your recommendations that are in the packet?
If you would like us to, yes.
Would that be good? The report is excellent, and I enjoyed going through it. If you guys would spend just a couple minutes on the two recommendations, and then I don't know if the committee has questions or thoughts. I know I have one question I'm holding on
That I
to.
have. This one.
Oh, there it is. Okay. So, recommendation number 1 was to make necessary revisions to the health and physical education curriculum. So, high school revisions in addition to existing curriculum, which we, oh, can I see this one? Which we completed almost all of them, was what we were saying to you earlier. We added, let's see, lessons that allow students to understand leadership concepts was one area that kept coming up in the PCAT that we looked at, that was something that we were lacking. So it actually worked out perfectly that we now have 11th and 12th grade required phys ed. So we have some of the older kids in the gym now with the younger kids. So this summer we worked on finding ways to use them as leaders in the classroom. And we started off the year by communicating to them that we expected them to be leaders and that the younger kids were going to look to them to follow and set the tone for the class. And that's been going great. It's been such a smooth transition from 11th and 12th graders not being required at all. Now the 11th graders are required. We didn't know how they were going to respond to that with a study being taken away from them, but we've had hardly any complaints about it.
Couple of students here
at
might
all.
want to weigh in, but I
Yeah.
do want to compliment the high school wellness department because I think you have handled it really, really well. And I think it's one of those things that seems, at first glance, it seemed like, whoa, wait a minute. But once it's part of what we do, it just sort of goes away and everybody realizes the benefits and the necessity and why that's a law in our state. So, but I'm sure it's not always, rainbows and kittens. But so if you guys want to weigh in, that'd be great.
Chime in. Yeah, I think it was a really big shock to our grade being required to take gym. I think one of the things was we were kind of planned our schedules around the fact that we would have an extra class. I know I take a lot of classes. I personally don't have a study. I even filled that up with a class. And what I really liked about the program was that we were worried, oh gosh, I can't take AP Chem because I have to take gym. I can't take music theory because I have to take gym. And the gym teachers and administration found a way to fix that problem by allowing us to attend morning gym, which is what I attend. So we meet Mondays and Thursdays every week with Coach P in the gym at 6:30, and we have like a normal gym class until the first bell. So I just really appreciate that you guys found a way to allow us to fulfill the requirement while still being able to take the classes that we would like to take junior year. So
Nice.
thank you for
That's
that.
great.
Ms. Petrovic has 16 students in the AM wellness class. And she said that it's going great, that they're working hard and they're
She's tough one to
able
keep
to
up with,
maintain
that
the
must be.
current curriculum.
For you.
Janelle, I don't remember if you were here or on maternity when we were going through that state requirement to have physical education every grade, and we really struggled with it as a committee.
Yep.
Especially for the kids who were playing fall sports or spring sports. And so I'm really pleased, actually, Mikkel, to hear that one of the things we talked about that I think convinced us to vote in favor of that implementation was the notion of having a morning program, something a little outside the box so that kids who didn't want to commit a class period to that would have another way to fulfill that requirement.
Yeah, and the majority of the students in the morning session are music students and students who are taking multiple AP classes or electives. Like if they want to be an art, if they know they want to be an art student, they're taking multiple art electives, so they don't have the free period to take phys ed like the other students would have.
I think one of the other things that really convinced us back then to support it was also the notion that it wouldn't just be, throwing a football, or it would be life skills. Have you been able to put that into the curriculum yet, or is that work in progress?
Yes, we've made it elective in 2 ways. So within the phys ed curriculum, it's elective. So they have 2 or 3 choices depending on what else is going on in the gym. Like some of our units, like the badminton unit, takes up the entire gym. So there's not enough space to offer 3 or 4 things for them to do. But they're allowed to do what the 9th and 10th grade curriculum is doing. So right now that's flag football. So they can choose to do that with the regular 9th and 10th graders. They can go in the fitness center, or they can go into the group exercise room and do yoga or Pilates or something like that. So within the regular phys ed class, they have choices.
So they have some large group choices or group game choices and some personal fitness choices.
Yes, and we started the year with, they designed their own workout plan for the weight room. So every student has a weight plan that they designed on their own at the beginning of the year with fitness goals that's on file in the weight room. So if they choose to go into the fitness center, they can pull out their personalized workout and do their own workout in the fitness center.
Nice.
With a staff member supervising.
That's
See,
excellent.
I like what they did about for the wellness center about the fitness plan. So rather than us being told what to do, we can stick to what we need to work on for our own body, and I like that.
Nice.
Or if you're playing a sport, you can work on whatever kind of workout would customize your workout so that you maximize your athletic ability.
And is that choice just for juniors and seniors, or is that available to all 4 years, or?
That choice is available just to juniors and seniors. So our philosophy is in the 9th and 10th grade, we're introducing them to a lot of different activities where on fitness focus days, we lead the workout and show them every possible way that you could be fit and get fit, and every piece of equipment that you could use, and supervise them in how to use it safely, and give them a variety of skills. And then when they're in the 11th and 12th grade, they have all the skills they need to choose what they enjoy and what they'd like to do, so that when they leave school, they can find something that they're going to enjoy to maintain their lifelong
Take on more of
fitness.
the personal responsibility as they exit high school, which.
Yeah.
How about the morning gym opportunity? Is that also just junior, senior?
The AM, yes.
I think it's amazing. I mean, you talk about all the options they have, and again, giving them these skills that they're going to be able to take with them when they leave, or if they go to a gym, let's say, you know, after high school, or if they decide to go to college. And I mean, I just think it's so great. I really do. I mean, it's so great too that the juniors and seniors, like you said, have the choices, you know, that's going to fit into what's right for them.
Get right to you, Steve. I do too, and I'm 90% thrilled with everything. The 10% of me that's struggling a little bit is if you've got that freshman or sophomore who's a football player, to spend an hour in flag football, I struggle with. But maybe I don't want to spend time on it tonight, but Janelle, offline, maybe you can help me get smarter on that kind of thing.
Yeah,
but
I would.
as long as you guys were smarter than I am, think
Yeah.
that that's a good use of a student's time,
Mm-hmm.
then I'm okay
Yeah.
with that. I just appreciate you guys examining that. And
Yeah, I mean, just very briefly, they're not just learning football skills when they're playing flag football. They're learning social skills and competitiveness and fair play and sportsmanship, and they're learning things.
but couldn't you?
Working
And
with
again,
their
I'm not going to
peers,
debate this,
yeah.
but couldn't you argue they're learning that in the football sport as well?
May I interject?
Yeah, please.
I think what's a healthy thing is one of the things I work hard on in elementary curriculum is not everybody's had an opportunity to be involved in sports or have that opportunity. So for someone who is, be a good peer, be a helper, and take what you have that's
Apply
a gift for you,
Yeah,
and
that's a good point.
be a good classmate or a good peer, and show that you can be helpful and take your skills and help somebody who might need a little bit of more
Plus,
encouragement.
it's not a full year, it's just a snapshot of it.
It's 3 classes.
And then there are-
Okay, so
what?
I'll get off
3
that
classes.
point.
It's
So
3 classes.
Steve had his
See
hand
what
up,
I
and then
mean?
Mikkel.
It's just 3 classes, then they go on to other activities. The whole idea being that you might try something and be instructed in a type of physical
Yeah, that's a
activity
good
you
point.
know that you like. And I think before, we were sending kids on, to college with either not those skills, jamming everything in, or not really instructing them, or they hadn't been in a gym for 2 years, and then they go to college, and there are other kids who are used to being in the gym and knowing how to develop their own personal fitness, and our kids hadn't been near a physical education class in a couple of years, so maybe had lost it.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I really,
We tell them at the beginning of the year,
Yeah.
too, that we're going to ask you to do a variety of activities that some you're going to be great at and you're going to be very comfortable with, and some you're going to be horrible at and not be comfortable with. And we're challenging you to do the best that you can and bring a good attitude to every activity that we're doing, in hopes that you'll learn something about yourself and from others about what it is to be successful at things and learn new things and try things that maybe you're not comfortable with, because that's a skill that's going to be good for you for your life.
Okay, I appreciate the thoughtful response, and that's really what I'm looking for.
And I
is-
think that migrates up, we migrate that up from elementary on, that
Yeah.
find something you're going to enjoy,
now let me ask the 2 volleyball players, right? So if you were in phys ed class and there were a couple of classes where they were offering volleyball, would it be a bad thing if you participated, maybe offered tips to other kids who don't have the same skill set?
I mean, I think it works out well. I mean, doing like the volleyball stuff where they offer also different courts. So they offer like an advanced court, an intermediate court, and like a beginner court. And coming from someone like I don't really understand football, sorry, I'm not really good at it. And even doing it in the morning gym when we don't have like a fitness focused day, and playing with someone who is on the football team, it kind of helps to move the class along, because if you have 16 kids who can't throw a ball, toss them to the ground like I do every 5 minutes, or you have, someone who knows how to toss a ball, then I can be behind them to catch it and kind of move the game along, and everyone is running around having fun and participating and not worrying about, oh gosh, I'm going to miss this terribly or something. So I think it works out having the advanced people in the class and also those who are beginners. And it also works out when you kind of look forward. Like I'll say, oh, I can't wait till the volleyball unit or the softball unit, so that I can, have a little extra of whatever sport you play. If you
That
love
you
it,
personally enjoy.
Yeah.
Thank you. Melissa,
So
did
we
you want to
talked
offer
about
your
the-
thought on that?
I totally agree with what she said. I like how there's like all different sports. My favorite's badminton. I'm like looked forward to it all. Like last year, like when I went down to guidance and I was like, I have to have semester 1. I have to have badminton, and so like that's what I look forward to. But I try to be that person to like go into the advanced groups to try to push myself to do better. Yeah, like it's all the guys that try to like they're ball hogs, but like they learn to like pass to a girl and and the girl shows them up and they play the good part.
Some life lessons there, right there. Steve, you wanted to make a comment earlier.
Well, yeah, the first thing was, did you folks finish what you wanted to say?
I
there was
missed
some
the
other
second
things.
part was the truly electives that are offered. So there's an AM alternative yoga for students who have emotional and anxiety needs. Could sign up for an AM yoga class, which is offered every other day in the morning. Miss Petty, our new phys ed teacher, teaches that. There's 13 students enrolled in that right now. There's a group exercise elective that they can choose, which is yoga, Pilates, Taibo, anything that you can imagine that students in the class want to do as far as group exercise. Personal training, so they go into the fitness center and work on a workout that they create by themselves. Basketball, and team sports. So they could have chosen one of those electives too if they didn't want to be in the general ed, phys ed curriculum.
Great choices.
Yeah.
Thanks, Janelle. Go
Could
ahead,
I
Steve.
follow
Yeah.
up?
Yeah, please.
I was impressed at some of the things you talked about where leadership skills are going to be, taught and encouraged. And I'm also impressed by what you have coming up in October, and that's the Alcohol Literacy Challenge Program for PD. I'd personally be very excited to see more of that substance abuse and alcohol abuse, and it also talks about performance-enhancing drugs out there.
Anabolic steroids.
So that while there are people out running around, and I had a badminton in the winter last year, and my fingers froze. It was terrible. I don't know if you like badminton. But with the substance abuse prevention, I think that a fanny and a chair is as important as a person running around on a court or a field or a baseball diamond or whatever. So I'd love to see more of that. And then what I also saw was that for more professional development, I don't know if we can accelerate it or you're the subject matter experts, but for special ed or adaptive sports, is there a paucity of equipment, services, subject matter expertise, those sorts of things for students that might have limitations, wheelchair type activities or whatever, those sorts of things?
We have the most talented adaptive PE person, as you know, sitting right in front of you, and
Yeah.
I would say I wouldn't change, I'm gonna just go on a limb and say I wouldn't change a thing, because
Could we add more?
but it's developed by the IEP, by the
Okay.
Individual Education Program, and people who have seen you at the Y, I haven't had a chance to tell you yet, but people have seen Sue at the Y working with those students in the adaptive environment, come back and say, oh my God, she's amazing. I know.
Great.
I say all the time. So I wouldn't change a thing. And whatever she needs, she knows people will get for her.
Yeah.
Whatever the students need, but we don't expand it and see who comes. It's developed by their individual education program.
And I
so
wasn't implying that we
that.
were, I
Yeah.
was asking if there was a paucity, not that we have one, so please don't misunderstand.
Can't say enough good about that.
Yeah, I think, yes, like last year I did present a little bit of summary about adaptive physical education, and I have to say within this community, it's a luxury to be able to have adaptive phys ed and be the instructor in this community because they're so resourceful, and having our connection with the Y is an amazing thing for our students, and the fitness center here is another avenue that they have access to on a daily basis, which is amazing. And I think to just give a lot of credit to Janelle and how much the curriculum has changed when she referenced to the students who have some emotional, social anxiety. Those are the students, I think, that in the past have gotten lost in the mix, and this is an amazing, amazing thing. When I heard this, I just about jumped out of my seat, because there are a lot of these students who it's difficult to excel in a group of other individuals who may be gifted in a certain area of being physically talented, and it's very intimidating. So now that we have this opportunity, I think it's just amazing, and I'm so excited. I keep telling her how much amazing it is. And so I think that, as Debbie alluded to, it is IEP driven, and when the need needs to be addressed, students who might be visually impaired, etc., the resources are available. I can consult, and if need be, I seek outside resources to give me the support.
Great,
that
thank
I
you.
need.
It's near and dear to my heart. I won't lie, so thank you.
Okay, you're welcome.
Janelle and Sue, anything else that we didn't cover that you want to be sure, or any help you need from us?
I don't think so. I mean, wait.
Uh-oh.
I always have a few words. I just want to compliment the entire Wellness Department staff, because I think as a collective group, they're pretty talented and amazing in what they do. I think that's a great word. I think that what they provide for students is probably above and beyond almost every other school system that I know. And while we would always love more time in physical education, so would every other curriculum area. But I know we get that. We talk about that all the time. But they're pretty good at maximizing the time that they have, although everybody would like more. I think reading your report, a couple things struck me, and then I had a emotional reaction to my when I first came back 7 years ago. But what struck me in your report is that your department probably has the strongest connections and community partnerships of any. Whether it's the YMCA, the partnerships with BU, the 2 research studies we've done with BU, the health curriculum, the nutrition curriculum, the Y grants that you pursue, the Stop and Shop partnerships. You have so many different types of partnerships within the community. So of all departments, they probably are the most known in the community, and people want to come forward and assist with even more. So I want to give you credit for that, because that outreach that you do is really skilled. I loved that you don't want to purchase anything, and I thought this really speaks to, not from a budgetary viewpoint, but this speaks to the kind of things we've been talking about here at this table, which is that curriculum is sort of, it's in this transition to online resources, and maybe history doesn't change very much unless you want to look at it backwards in a different way, but I think health and wellness certainly changes all the time. And I think that speaks to where you are, that you are so current in what you do and what you want to offer kids in terms of information, that they've now realized that not too many years ago we were looking for a middle school health textbook, and now they're realizing that it changes so much that in order to be current, they have to be current, and they have to constantly look for online resources, and that's what they're doing. So I give you a lot of credit for that, and that you are as data-driven as any department. And I don't think people realize that about health and physical education. And I thought back to when I arrived 7 years ago, and there was no health at all at the high school. Health ended in grade 8. I saw that on the school committee, your joint school district goals, that you had decided, you had a real focus on wellness around the time I came back, that has since, morphed into other things, because so much work was done at this level and with school administration. But I remember coming back and seeing that and realizing there's no health at the high school, which I took very personally, because I know there's a lot of health curriculum at the high school that kids need to hear about that certainly we don't want to talk to them about in middle school. We only had 2 years of PE at the high school, and the curriculum in both areas wasn't current or developed at all. And what's happened in 7 years to me is quite an achievement, and I give all the credit to the entire department and to Janelle's leadership. So it just hit me, like how far we've come in 7 years, and what this is really saying about how current they are and how they stay on top of things. So I just want to mention all that.
Well, I know I personally support that. I mean, I think we are very forward-thinking in what you guys present, and I love the professionalism and attitude, and, all of the PE and health staff that I've encountered and my kids have encountered and that I've met across the district are all very real people. You know, you're approachable, you care, you're thoughtful, you're patient, and you're innovative. And I think that serves our kids well. So thank you.
Thank you.
Any other comments from the committee?
Great job done. Thank you.
Thank you. I want to thank you too. We're very lucky that we have the support of the school committee and administration. And I've worked in districts that wasn't the case. So it's great to have that support. So thank you.
Yes,
You're very
thank
wel-
you very much.
Thank your staff, please, or your team.
I will.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Good night.
Superintendent's goals.
So, as the school committee knows, each year after the superintendent's public evaluation, within a few weeks or a month, I come back with you with my new goals for this coming year. And the goals are year to year, although you will see that some of them do continue or change up a little bit. But as you know, there are some goals that can be achieved in a year, and there are other goals that really are a long-term effort, and because it's a really complex issue. So you will see in my draft of goals, and these are available for your comment and discussion tonight, and then we can finalize them tonight if you want, or I can take your comments under advisement and work with you and change them up a little bit and come back for approval at the next meeting. It's totally up to you. But you can see that when I was thinking about how do I work with the committee, what are our joint, I looked at our joint school district goals that we share with you, and I looked at all of the data that we have collected recently, both through the tech program evaluation report, our new strategic plan, and what's really going on, and thought, you know, where is my focus going to be, my personal energy and effort going to be directed? And as you can see, at least 3 of them really are around technology. So if I'm going to group those together, so my professional practice goal is, as the educational leader in the district, to utilize the tools and features of the Office 365 platform, which is new to us in April, to enhance our internal communication and collaboration among the administrative team. So that's something that I'm going to use, model, and we've already started. All of our administrative team documents are in a shared drive folder now, and we're trying to go as much paperless as we can in preparation of those meetings, and to store them in places where people can collaborate and work on things together. Secondly, around technology, we've discussed kind of at length at this table where we're trying to go with educational technology and its role in teaching and learning. And I think we've gone through that in quite a number of detail. So in terms of how I was thinking about my goals, it certainly is our collective goal to implement all the recommendations in that report as a team and personally. So you can see under district improvement, it says to monitor and publicly report progress toward the goals and recommendations in the tech program evaluation report, which was publicly shared at this table in June 2014, and in the Foxborough Public Schools 5-year technology plan, and that we will update you as a committee twice a year and include detailed information about our progress under those 4 major indicators in the evaluation report. So if the public's interested in those, both of those reports are on our district website, and you can find them fairly easily. So that's one of the most important things we're doing in the next couple of years, is implementing all the recommendations in that report. And so we want to make sure, I want to make sure that my attention on that is constant. In terms of where we're trying to go with technology, though, it really occurred to me that the student's role is critical. I think we've all joked about how you are your native users of the technology, and we are trying to catch up, but probably never will.
Native immigrants.
Yeah, so
not
we
immigrants.
are,
They're
we
the
are
native.
digital immigrants, and you are
We're
digital
the-
natives. And we laugh about it, but it is really very true. And so I thought, you know, somebody that I heard speak, keynote speaker, almost 2 years ago at the MassQ conference, which is the Gillette, the statewide superintendent and technology people's conference, they had a keynote speaker who was, I think, the best I've ever heard in any conference ever. And his name was Travis Allen. And he said something almost 2 years ago that I couldn't get out of my head, that I have since decided I'm either going to say that's one of the best things I ever heard, or I'm going to do something about it. So he had said, you know, that what school districts don't do is they don't leverage the power of the students to move the use of technology along. That if you're going to wait till the adults acquire enough of a skill set to then bring down to the students who are already using the stuff and in ways that we really don't know anything about, then it's never going to happen. You're always going to be behind. You're never going to catch up. So this idea of involving students has been in my mind for almost 2 years. So I'm making it a goal this year, and we are going to, this year, we're going to implement a program called iSchool Advocates. So sometime this month, the high school students are going to see a video, a little intro from me, a video about what the iSchool Advocates program is, and then a little follow-up from me that if students are interested, they can apply to be an iSchool Advocate. And we're hoping to get 15 students, more 9th through 11th grade, so because by the time the seniors are trained, they'll be waiting for graduation at that point. So we're going to have students by the end of this month designated as our iSchool Advocates. It's only September. I mean by the end of October. The end of this month is tomorrow. What I meant was by the end of October. And we are actually having the keynote speaker that I saw, Travis Allen, who is a very young 20-something man. He still looks like a kid to me. He created he created his own company because the way he learned in high school digitally was not being met. It just wasn't being acknowledged. And he's only about 10 years out of high school. But he had to find his own path of learning because all of the way that he learned was not reflected in his high school education. So he did go to college, and he started this own company called iSchool Initiative. And he's the one that really inspired me to say, we're really not leveraging the power and the talent of students who are ahead of us. So he and a coworker, Arvin Ross, are going to actually come to Foxborough and spend 3 days at Foxborough High School, October 27, 28, and 29. And they're going to train those 15 or so students in how do they become iSchool advocates in their own school, and how do they got to come up with a project that they think could change the world kind of thing. So how do they use their knowledge of technology to inspire the world, to change the world, and how do they help their own school? So they will have advisors. We're going to work through the year, see how that goes. So I'm pretty excited about that. So since this is my idea, I'm going to be involved in it, and we're hoping to have our secondary tech integration specialist, Julie Greenstein, who's excited about it, involved, and a teacher advisor as well. So between the three of us, we're going to monitor this program and see what students can bring to the table. So that's my student learning goal, because I really took that to heart when he said that, and I happened to hear him again speak back in June, and I thought, I talked to him almost 2 years ago and was so inspired by everything he said. Now he's at a conference again in June that I went to, and I spoke to him afterwards, and I said, okay, this is the second time I've heard you. I'm going to do something about it. So we're going to do it. So it's going to be really fascinating. I'm really excited about it. And I think that we'll learn so much from our own students in terms of how else can we leverage them outside of this formal program. So how can we leverage them to help us along with where we're trying to go with technology? Because we shouldn't be waiting for ourselves.
Debbie, quick question. iSchool, that sounds like an Apple-endorsed concept.
It's not.
Are there any ties to Apple or any loyalty or royalties due to him or by adopting his program name?
It is not tied to Apple. It's his own company. Actually, what you can choose to do, in addition to the students each doing a project of their own choice, we've had several conference calls with them. We get to pick what it is that we want students to help us out with. So, for example, if we were about to roll out a one-to-one initiative, which could be any device at all, of any device, which we're not, the students would help teachers learn how to use that device. They'd be trained first in the features of the device, whether it's a Chromebook, whatever it is, and they would help, but we're not there. So when they said, what would be the student focus, we honestly said, based on where we are, we're going to start slowly. So in Office 365, there's a lot of tools, collaboration tools that students will be able to use. We hope to roll out middle and high school student email this year, and that we host. So there's a lot within Office 365 that we already have, that if students could learn what those tools are, they could help other students use them, they could help their teachers use them in ways that maybe we don't exactly imagine. So we're going to actually start small. So it has absolutely nothing to do with Apple products at all. It doesn't have anything to do with Apple. It's its own independent company. It's a national company.
Yep. Thank
And it doesn't have anything to do with that.
Thank you.
We may be a district that has nothing, that doesn't have a single Apple product in the district. Doesn't matter. It's not associated. That's a good question, though, because of the use of the I.
The small I.
The small I.
It really stands more for information, the small I.
Information technology. Yeah, I'm going to ask where that came from, actually. I don't
Yeah.
even know. So those are the three things that really speak to technology. In addition to that, under district improvement, I'm continuing the goal around our growth plan for STEM subjects, which, as you know, I've had last year on my goals. A little more tailored, so we would had in the past how we're planning to grow what we're offering for science, technology, engineering, math, and business and technical education. We are hoping, I'm going to say, to develop a computer science course for a year from now, as we did last year with the engineering course. So we're hoping for a computer science course at the high school a year from now.
Wow.
It is certainly challenging, because if you think health and wellness changes, computer science changes daily. So I think that's going to be a real challenge to us, to find a curriculum that can evolve like that, and to get that going. So, but it's important. Let's see. Another district improvement goal is to continue to expand our outreach and communication to community groups and other constituents. So that's a different version of the same goal I had. I'm going to try those superintendent coffees in the evening at the public library throughout the year, so that people in town, parents who work during the day, have an opportunity for face-to-face conversation with me. And we're going to plan another outreach event with the Clergy Association, which was very successful last year. And this year, we're actually going to focus on social media, the use of social media, and how faith groups and schools approach that with the youth that they serve. And what do we have in common? What do they know that we don't know? What do we know that they could use? And then last, under other, and this is an optional practice for superintendents in the state of Massachusetts, we must have at least one professional practice goal, at least one student learning goal, at least one district improvement goal, and then the other is optional. But the other is my sixth goal, which is to develop a plan, which you've heard the beginnings of, for the completion of the outdoor athletic complex at Foxborough High School, towards our goal of having a full campus at the high school. I think personally that's very important, and I think that's something that I want to see happen over the course of the next several years, is that kids, I think, have a right to go out of their school, after school, and be able to watch friends practice, to be able to participate in their team events, in their practices, without having to travel to another location. And I think that's part of high school life, and it's still a surprise to me that we've had this current high school for how long? 50, 40 years?
40-something
50
years.
years? 60?
50.
50 years, and we still don't have a full campus. So I'm saying it's about time, and that's something that I feel is important to student life. So those are my goals. So input, comments, thoughts?
It's a great summary.
Excellent goals.
Any,
Great summary.
Ditto.
Steve?
Excellent goals.
Yeah.
I have go ahead.
Oh, please, go ahead, Ben.
I just have a projection. I believe you will achieve these. Knowing you.
Well,
ambitious, but
some of them, as you
You
know,
will-
last year I have no problem saying I've made some progress, or that I made significant progress. I
There
haven't
will,
met it
yeah, there
because
will
some
be
of them are
progress
meaty.
in every single
So
one.
I will make progress, but some of them,
You will.
sometimes you end up taking a little bit longer, but to do it well, if I don't meet the goal within a certain period of time, it's because it's either very complex, or something became a barrier and we want to do it right or do it well.
Absolutely.
Steve, you had a comment?
Yeah, it's I hope a helpful comment. That is, how can we help? On the district improvement item 3, which makes me giddy, it's great that you're targeting a computer science course by the end of the year.
Yes.
As a school committee, in its present state of making a strategy to have that,
Yes.
whatever, part of the process you're in, is there anything you foresee as superintendent that's an obstacle in your way that you need help with right away from the school committee? Training, money, corporate involvement, community booster involvement, anything in the, like
So-
this Travis Allen sounds like a remarkable, resource and ignites passion.
So anything I need right away would be a no, because right now it seems like a black hole to me.
Mm-hmm.
But I will know, we're actually not going to start meeting about this until around Thanksgiving, because we want to have it in the program of studies for your review and approval in January. So we're going to basically spend the month of December working on that. I don't know yet, but I will be very quick during the budget process to come to speak up and say what we need. I think the challenge I think there are two challenges. One is finding a dynamic curriculum that can evolve and change the way the engineering one does, which was a great surprise, that there's people who are updating it and keeping it current based on a subscription, for example. So I'm hoping to find the same thing, but we're not going to start until right around the end of November, working with a couple of teachers here, Diane Mize-Pakla, and a new director of technology. So I don't know yet what barriers or challenges or needs, but I'm sure there will be some. So thanks for asking, and I'll get back to you.
And I have one more, it's a permission or maybe. I also love the idea of the iSchool Advocate program. And you listed a group of different people that would be involved. Can anybody from the school committee fly on the wall some of these meetings or be part of an ad hoc-ish thing? I'd love to see, not to critique, but just to be part of it. I mean, that's great.
Well, the first
Immersion.
thing is before the training. So at our October meeting here, you're going to see the video that I'm getting ready for students. So you will have a better idea of what it is.
Right.
In terms of being present during the 3 days, I'm not sure because it sort of flies against their philosophy, which is young people empower young people and then see what happens. So we're going to actually try to stay out of the students' way a little bit during the training, and it's going to be personally difficult for me not to stay all 3 days. But I'm going to try to be there some of the time, but not all, maybe. But so I don't know, because it philosophically, when we've had our conference calls with them, it goes against kind of what they believe, to have a lot of
Interesting.
I
didn't
top
think
down.
of that.
Sounds like if you find out when the superintendent's going, you might tag along.
For you two, you have a champion behind you. She's going to champion this, as you can see. So it's great that there will be student involvement. Thank you. That's all I have.
So I'm
and
not
thank you
sure.
for
I
this.
guess I'll think about it. I'm not sure, because the whole idea is that bottom-up empowerment. And I don't yet know what their experience will be, but I certainly know I don't want to get in the way of their experience.
Sure.
So I'm not sure. But I think
But,
there's
you know,
certainly.
could you- Could you
Yes.
maybe create a little rendezvous or meet the school committee? Just, I would like.
I have a great idea, so I'm really glad you asked, because I just thought of a great.
I'd love to
Go
meet
ahead.
this person.
I love when you get that look on your face. I have a great idea.
All of a
look on
sudden,
my
like
face.
the light
An
bulb went off.
epiphany.
Yeah.
So during the school day, training is for the students.
Yeah.
But we did ask him if he would stay for an hour after school Monday, so that the high school, that's going to be in lieu of the high school faculty meeting that month, so that the high school faculty has the benefit of hearing him for an hour in his philosophy. I would say either that's a good part,
That's
that's a
cool,
good
yeah.
space to come in. And on Tuesday afternoon, we're having a smaller meeting with our tech steering committee and our professional development committee and any of our other steering committees in the district. Because it's a high school program, but there are many people at other levels that want to hear it. So it's going to be, so either the Monday or the Tuesday, I'll let you know what the time frame is, and certainly any or all of you could come
Thank
to
you.
those. Because that part is adult only, where you get to hear his philosophy, and then we'll let the students have their own
That
time.
would be great.
Because he's pretty,
If we could-
pretty
you.
inspiring.
Thank you.
So that's what I'll do.
Tina.
Well, I wanted to compliment you on your goals as well, and I was struck when I was reading your goals about how, and I wasn't surprised, but I was struck, I wasn't at all surprised, how you hit upon everything that we discussed during our strategic planning process, every single thing that was continually raised as I don't want to say weakness, but as a need within the district, the idea of more collaboration time between teachers and the administrative team, the technology, the STEM, everything is right here. So, and I also wanted to just mention that your evening superintendent coffee is October 14th at the library.
Yes.
So with Tina's comments in mind, I'd
Thank you.
entertain a motion to approve the superintendent's goals if you
make
guys
that
are ready for
motion.
that.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
5-0, thank you.
All right, thank you. Well,
BICO Education Collaborative Agreement.
yes, so if you read the whole agreement, which is quite lengthy, as you can see, educational collaboratives began decades ago in the state of Massachusetts so that towns could get together or collaborate, hence the word, and create programs for special education, students with disabilities, that maybe the districts themselves didn't have either enough of a population or the right kinds of services. So it's basically a pooling of resources and programs and services. So we are a member of the Bi-County Collaborative, and you can see that there are, I think, 18
I counted there, 18.
members, right? And I serve on the board of directors, as you know, because you elect me every year. And so what happened with this agreement is that if you look back at the page, it said it was originally created. The original agreements in the state of Massachusetts for educational collaboratives actually began back in the 1980s. Of course, if
Do we
I
have a page
just
number for
circled
that?
it.
1987.
Yes, so 1987, and then in around 2009, I think it was, they redid the county, the collaborative agreements across the state, and certainly BICO did at the time. As you probably know from reading the newspapers, about 5 years ago, there was a problem in a few educational collaboratives in the state of Massachusetts, not ours, but on the North Shore. And there were some investigations about how collaboratives' finances worked, how their governance worked, how all of that worked. So a few things were revealed. And so the state of Massachusetts passed newer laws about how collaboratives should operate legally, ethically, financially. And as a result, all of the educational collaboratives in the state are now required to come up with new agreements that reflect current laws and regulations. So what you see in front of you is the Bi-County Educational Collaborative, which is pursuant to the provisions of Chapter 40, Section 4E of the General Laws of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, 603 CMR 50.00. This requires approval of the school committee of each of the 18-member districts when it comes to the BICO Collaborative. The BICO Board of Directors had our first reading in the spring, and we did vote on this on September 11th, a few weeks ago. So the next step is school committee approval at a public school committee meeting in each of the 18-member districts or regional schools. So
Do you need a motion?
Well, Debbie,
Yes.
just before we get to that, so is it your recommendation that we renew our membership to the BICO Collaborative?
it is, and that we agree to the agreement. The agreement basically reflects language that the DESC guidelines and the Massachusetts law now govern. So the collaboratives are not coming up with all this language originally. They're adhering to the suggested language and then customizing to their own particular situation. So we have gone over this twice at the board level, and I do recommend that you approve the Bi-County Educational Collaborative Agreement.
And I'm sorry, Katie, hang on to that motion for one more second.
Sure.
So obviously, this is something we've done for years and will continue to do.
Yes.
My only question, can you just offer a statement or a sentence on cost to us by agreeing to this? How you view, I mean, that's built into our budget, the services that we contribute to.
We pay for the students who attend. So there is no current membership dues for BICO, although you saw in the agreement they reserve the right to do that.
I saw that.
But that won't happen. Bill's, the 18-member finance directors meet once a month at BICO, and the board of directors, which is the superintendents, have another meeting a month. So there's quite a level of oversight now that maybe used to be in the past. But what we do is we pay for services. So we pay for the students that we send to BICO because that's the best program for them, and it's something we can't offer here. And that's how their financial, that's how their finances come in. That's how their funding comes in, is by member districts paying tuition for their students. So just similarly, we would pay tuition at a private special education school. We pay tuition to the Bi-County Collaborative, and usually their tuition rates are somewhere in between the cost of us running the program ourselves and a private day school, for example. Usually it's somewhere in between.
And just in terms of safeguarding the public's interest in this cost, potential cost to us as taxpayers, citizens, we can feel comfortable that with you on the board, it's something you get to oversee. And
Yes, and as, I think, I would say it's a double checking mechanism at this point, because they have to come to the board with any tuition increases they're asking for, and there's always rousing debate if anything involves, increase in finances, because none of us want to see that. And I would say, probably the other districts may be even feeling a little bit more strenuous about that. But we really only pay for the services that we're accessing. So that's the good news, is that if a decision is made in an IEP meeting that that's a program that the student should go to, then yes, we will pay the tuition to that. But we don't pay for services not rendered. So it's a pretty good situation.
Okay.
Debbie, could you almost say that this, this new agreement is actually a protective measure? I mean, in the sense,
Yes.
to
All
ensure
school-
that districts are doing what they're supposed to be doing, and also that
Yes.
we're protecting, I mean, because at the end of the day, this collaborative is focused on protecting the students, right? The students who are,
Yes.
who are seeking these
Every school
special
district
student-
belongs to a collaborative,
Right.
so that we can access services that we can otherwise provide. The extent to which you access it really depends on the strength of your internal programs. We probably don't send as many students as many districts do, because we have a lot of strong programs within our own district, and that's always our first choice.
Right.
But we do need to belong to a collaborative so that we can access other types of programs that we may not be able to provide if we have one student with a particular diagnosis or a particular special need that we cannot provide for that's right for that student. In terms of this agreement, it's really more about governance. How is this collaborative going to be governed? And it's got, as you can read, 18 pages of checks and balances, so that nothing ethically, legally, or financially improper can happen in the governance of this collaborative. So it's a protective agreement that is meeting the current law, so that it can't happen what happened before, which was a little bit of funding, I'm just gonna call it funding irregularities. So if you remember 5 years ago, it was quite in the news, of a collaborative elsewhere in the state. So as a result, there are tighter regulations and guidelines, and this agreement reflects all of those, so that those things can't happen. And actually, what it speaks to is transparency.
Right. So
So that-
Katie,
yeah.
I'm sorry. So Katie, did you want to make a motion to
Yes,
approve?
Yes, make a motion to accept the agreement for the Bi-County Educational Collaborative.
Can I just say approve the
Approve,
agreement?
yes, thank you, yeah, approve the agreement, yeah.
Okay. Any seconds?
I'll second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor? Great. Thank you, Debbie, for taking us through that.
Thank you
I know we've done it
very
before, but
much.
just for
No, I think
sake.
that it was really important. Any change, we need to understand the history of it and the
Right.
rationale, so.
Exactly. So thank you. They'll be happy, because they're trying to get their 18 signed agreements by a certain deadline, so I'm sure Arlene, who you all know well, will appreciate our timeliness.
Mr. Yukna, budget update.
Gay Bill.
Okay, as Deb pointed out at the last meeting, the changes from the position point of view, actually, when we went back and did a little bit more looking at that, there was one other change that was made. So the position changes actually were favorable to a .25 position versus unfavorable to a .25. So, so what I did was I accounted for the salary changes that happened throughout the budget right now. So you'll see if there was a half a kindergarten teacher removed and a teaching ed assistant in one school added, what the actual financial difference is. So this has changed a little bit from what you've seen before, as far as having that adjustment column and then the explanation on the other side. The one of the positive things, obviously, even with that .25, that really isn't the real story. Where the major thing was with that removing a teaching position, which is the highest salary level, and adding ed assistants in, there actually was a significant payroll savings in the overall net here, which was actually on the payroll side over $100,000. We did put back, obviously, the grant funded $28,000 for the math specialist, and so basically you do have an offset there, but your overall savings on just payroll side of it would have been about $101,000. The other changes that we've had to make, and as you know, we've been on an aggressive program with the buildings and with technology. So when we got to this summer, the IGO playground actually pointed out a couple of big problems at the IGO, and that was, from a safety point of view, the curbing and pavement around. Now, we still have to come back with a much bigger program on the paving side of things, but what we did do was address all of the curbing where the buses were coming off and stuff like that. And again, it wasn't something we had budgeted for, but really didn't have an option at the time. So we've offset some of the savings we've had on the payroll by doing all that curbing and redoing the sidewalks, both up front where the new playground is and across the entire front of the building. And so that really kind of gave us a pretty good size hit of about $58,000 between that and one other thing being at the Ahern. Again, with all the technology that we're looking at, we found that almost every one of our closets that hold all of our switchgear and stuff now being 12, 13 years old, almost all of the HVAC systems, the split systems that are running those all died. And unfortunately,
They all died?
They all died. They were all, not putting out any cool air at all. And what happens is that switchgear is very hot in its operation. It's in a closed room. And the switchgear is worth tens of thousands of dollars in each one. So we were burning out switchgear because we couldn't keep it cool enough. So we went through and upgraded all of them in one shot. Again, something we really weren't planning on, but we had too big an investment not to do that. And as you know, we're putting in now the new 10 gig switchgear, which is even more expensive. So we didn't want to have a chance of kind of blowing it as we were going through here. So we ended up doing that. That was about $21,000 for the 5 closets to get done. And we also had a small, again, with our firewall upgrade, it was a little bit more expensive than we anticipated, so it was about $4,000. So our net effect between the payroll changes and the few cost expenses that we've gone up right now is about $34,000 positive. Again, very early in the year. A lot of issues could hit us.
Most of that kind of being the quarter position that we're down.
Exactly.
Ish.
Yeah. So I think when you look at it, it's a good position to be in. We're not on the wrong side of it, even though we had to hit some pretty big things up front here at the beginning of the year. But again, you've also gotten all your advantage on your payroll up front here too. So it's, without any big surprises here, I think we're pretty well protected in utilities. We've got contracts that are long-term, so I'm not expecting any big things that way. And I think we will run into, as an FYI, I think we will run into a little bit more on the technology side this year. Again, we're doing so much. It's a full forklift upgrade everywhere that we're finding, whether it's additional switchgear, additional wiring, whatever, we're just trying to do it right. So I'll be coming back to you as those little things come up. The commitment we made on the wireless to have the Ahern fully wireless by the end of the year, it looks like what we're actually going to be trying to do is have the entire district fully wireless by the end of the year. And Aaron's working very hard on that. We just got some fun, some great pricing. And what we're looking at is if we do the added wireless right now, when we're getting almost a 50% discount because of the amount we have to do, it makes sense to try to grab a little bit more. So, and I'm assuming that's something that you guys would all kind of back me on as well. So I think that's what Aaron's kind of pushing right now for us. And at that point, which will really help us on the testing and other things down the road, because one of our weaknesses is the amount of computers on the elementary level to do larger scale testing or group things. But with wireless, we have a lot more capability. So that's, we're trying to hit a lot of different things at the same time, kind of planning for the future here as far as where we're going to need to go. So again, $34,000, pretty good situation to be in at this point on the positive side, and having taken care of some good stuff already too.
Good update and good decisions, I think, Bill, like on that curbing to get that done.
Yeah, so it really had deteriorated a lot more than I think when we did the budget last year. And unfortunately, as you know, we'll be starting the budget again very shortly for next year. When you start it, a lot of these things condition-wise don't exist. Yeah. And you start to watch them just kind of deteriorate, and you're already past the budget time frame to do anything about it. So, like I said, this one was just, in talking to Mike Stanton and Devin looking at it, just like we couldn't take that chance.
Yeah, so. Right, and we're still to the good.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Does the update require a approval vote?
Yes.
Because sometimes we get it in the format of a report, and sometimes we get it in the format of an update spreadsheet.
What I do with the spreadsheets, these should always be approved because I'm showing you the changes that we're making, and that's really what you're approving is the allowing those changes.
So do I have a motion to approve the budget update? Steve?
Yeah,
second?
as presented.
I will second that.
Tina, all those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, Bill.
Thank you.
Donations.
Yes, so one is the donation of the $1,000 to the Ahern School for the Math Moves You that you heard about from Jack Brightman this morning. Would like to accept that donation, that's number one.
Motion to approve, anyone?
Make a motion to
Second.
accept.
I'll second.
All those in favor? 5, thank you.
The second one, I am remiss, I forgot to bring my copy of the check, so I can't tell you the exact amount, so after I explain what it is, you can decide to wait to accept it at the next meeting with the exact number, or you can replace it. The donation for the music, 94.57 and change, but I don't know the change. So that's my fault.
9,457?
Yes, so let me give you a little background. So if you were, many of you were present when the Play 60 intergenerational event happened at the IGO school. We had our senior citizens and our students and the Patriot players and the Kraft organization, and Mr. Kraft was here back in the spring to where they announced the Play 60 $30,000 grant. And then on the spot, Mr. Kraft donated his own $30,000 to double it for a total of $60,000, which was going to the IGO school playground, which you have already accepted. And the dedication of that playground, I'll just move right into other matters, is tomorrow at 2 o'clock. As you know, you're all invited. So Mr. Kraft and a few other invitees will be there, and we'll have the official dedication, the ribbon cutting of the IGO Play 60 Kids Zone Community Playground. And it'll be a wonderful event tomorrow at 2. Weather will be wonderful, I'm going to say. At that event, if you remember, the high school choral students were with Mr. Piper.
Oh, yes.
Were doing a fabulous job, and their voices were incredible. And on the spot, Mr. Kraft noted that he had seen a tweet from one of the high school students about wanting some portable equipment, so as they go around the community to perform, they have better equipment. And that it was a surprise to us that Mr. Kraft had seen that, and he magnanimously, on the spot, said that he said to the students in the vocal program, I'm going to pay for the equipment you want. We weren't sure exactly what that equipment was, but he said he would pay for it. So since then, there's been some back and forth between the Patriots Charitable Foundation and the Kraft Group and our music, Mr. Piper, who did a really wonderful job putting together a 3-tiered proposal so that the total, if they were to have everything they would want and need, was $9,457, and then the change I can't remember, and I forgot my copy of it. I'm so sorry. And then, but he also offered 3 tiers so that they could support Tier 1, Tier 2, or Tier 3, or any 2 out of the 3, or
He did it all.
any combination. Yeah. So after a lot of discussion, he decided to support the entire project.
I think we feel comfortable approving that tonight.
Okay, and if you could, I'll email you tomorrow with the exact amount. I apologize. So I thought Mr. Piper did a great job. And Bill, I'm sure you can speak to that. He really outlined in such detail what the equipment was for. He explained it, what needs to happen together.
Feel very comfortable, I'm sure.
And at first, we had also put our own proposal forward of a split cost, if that was, and they could choose their level of support. And he very generously chose to support the entire.
So that's from the Kraft Foundation?
Yes, the Patriots Charitable Foundation.
Do I have a motion to accept that?
I'll make a motion with gratitude. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Second, Beverly?
Second.
All in favor? Great. Thank you very much, Mr. Kraft
Thank
and
you.
team. Any other donations?
No, but I'd be happy to send you what the
Don't worry.
details were, so that they get them
Oh, yeah,
signed.
if you could shoot us the exact amount.
I will.
Thank you.
Other matters? You mentioned the IGO dedication tomorrow.
Yes, so anyone who's welcome, it's a community playground. Come and all the IGO students will participate in the assembly. And Mike Stanton has done an incredible job just with the whole process of working with his PTO. Got to credit again the IGO PTO. They raised the first almost $30,000 toward the playground, which inspired more. And I have to give them, the parent group, a lot of credit because it really started with them. And Mike Stanton working with them to develop a plan, and Bill's support, can't say enough. But Mike's done a great job pulling tomorrow's event together, and I want to give him a lot of credit for that. So it'll be wonderful, and I understand Tina will be there to represent the school committee.
As I'm on an airplane somewhere. Thank you, Tina.
Yes.
I'll be with the Spanish exchange students.
Have fun.
Will
Any
we
other
be
matters?
outside tomorrow
Yes.
for that?
So why don't you come to my office? That's where everyone else that's the invited guests who will be going out. So meet us in my office, say 1:30ish.
You got it.
We're
I
going to
actually
be the
have-
green room.
Fabulous.
Any other matters,
I
Madam
have an
Superintendent?
unrelated thing when Deb's done.
I know at our last meeting, some of the open houses that occurred, since then, a few more occurred the next week, and I was able to go to 5 out of the 7, because some schools split, her in 5 and 6, or her in 7. I went to the 5 out of 7 open houses, and I just thought our teachers did such a great job explaining the curriculum, and the students at the high school are always there to help out. But I thought they really did a really nice job at every single school, showing what's being used, how we're supposed to use technology, what we're trying, and I thought they put a lot of thought and effort into their presentations, and I just thought every single one of them was really well done on the part of the teachers in the classroom, and how they communicated to the parents what the student expectations were, both academically, behaviorally, and as a citizen of our school district. And I thought they did a great job, so thanks to all the teachers.
Agreed. Anything else, Deb?
Not that I can think of, believe it or not. I only had
We'll
2 other
come back.
matters.
Tina?
I had noticed in my many trips up and down South Street that we have some changes to our high school sign, and I wondered if we could talk about that for a minute, maybe?
Yeah, there's, we put in a new digital sign that will go live. Basically, it's to replace the ad hoc signs that would go up all the time, whether it was for music or for sports events. We were very fortunate in the company that we've been doing all of our scoreboards with. Ironically, when I just off the cuff asked them, if they ever dabbled with that type of stuff, basically had gotten one that somebody had misordered, and the perfect size fits between the columns, and they just wanted to get rid of it, so they quite honestly sold it to us at cost. So it was quite a savings. It is quite an incredible device. It can do pretty much anything we wanted to. 2 lines of data, all kinds of rotations, all kinds of scheduling. And so basically, it will be controlled. We won't run it late at nights and stuff. We'll probably shut it down at 9 o'clock at night. Once we start going into regular mode on it. But it's very similar to what they have at the charter school. I think it basically, when you get to the high school level, it's much different than it is when you're dealing with the elementaries and the middle school as far as the amount of activities and things that happen. So these type of signs where you're not having to try to go down there every 2 seconds and make a change to it, it's the right thing for high school, especially with our sporting events and like I said, the music program.
Always a lot going on at that high school.
So
if people listening at home and you're not sure, the high school had no, as we all know, no announcement mechanism whatsoever.
Right.
So it just said Foxborough High School, and then people would put the little sawhorses out that said there was a drama production.
Really looked a little.
Yeah.
It was, they were sawhorses and wooden
Homey.
signs. I'm just gonna say, homey, that's a good word.
That's
So
a good word.
we honestly needed something that.
And actually, the new sign blends in beautifully, I think. I think you did a great job, Bill. The cost, the size, you compare it to the charters, or you said like the charter school has.
It's very much like the charter school.
Except I think it blends in much better.
Yeah.
Candidly.
I do too.
I think it's smaller,
Right.
it's thinner anyway.
Yeah.
So to me, I was very pleased when I saw what it looked like.
Yeah.
I actually happened to see it live as I was driving up and down. I'm up and down that street a lot, and I thought it blended in with the community, although I am glad to hear that it is going to shut down
Yes.
earlier in the evening. It's not going to be an all-night
No,
long
it's
kind of
it's
thing.
strictly meant to be an activity thing when people are going to see it.
Yeah.
It's not meant to be something that's a late night, distraction.
It's going to be much better
Right.
communicating key
Absolutely.
messages, much
Yes.
more effective. Anything-
What we'll try to do is actually, unfortunately, most of those run by radio design, so you have to be relatively in line of sight. But we're going to try to wire down to it so that we can actually, right from the office, do total, changes, and that way they'll be able to get more use out of it, and proper use, so.
Great.
Thank you for that update.
Thank
Tina,
you.
anything else?
That was it for me.
Bevy?
Mentioning signage, when will our completed Sam Burns Community Field, the backside?
Oh,
Is that
it's in production. We had to, basically confirm the sizing and stuff, so that's all been done. So I'm expecting probably within the next week or so.
Oh, great.
Deb saw the rendering of it. I think it
Beautiful.
was very well done as far as
It
the way it will
really
show
is.
up, so. But again, we couldn't do it until we actually had it up in place, so the group is doing it right now.
And I think the school committee should kind of look towards Bill's guidance and Debbie's guidance with this, because we have a November 3rd meeting, then, November's a little shorter, plus Thanksgiving. Our very next meeting would be December 1 if we decided not to have a November 17 meeting because of the special. So,
We owe you a comeback on that. Tina raised that point at the last meeting.
right,
so
but
we do-
I'm just thinking, we would have to follow, Bill, I would think, and Debbie's leading on that. If there's something crunching right then,
Well, and along those lines, just to interject, are we going to have a joint meeting or a joint presentation, as we did last year at the Board of Selectmen meeting in November for the budgetary purposes?
We are. Debbie and I are in the preliminary stages of setting that up.
Yeah.
We have a couple of topics we want to bring.
Right.
Yeah, there's actually two topics, and if we're hoping, so Bruce and I were talking, we're hoping that if the joint meeting could cover both topics on the same night, that would certainly be a lot more convenient for people. So,
So that's on my list.
Okay.
Anything else, Debbie? Amy?
welcome to our Spanish exchange students, though.
Yes.
See.
Because we don't have a meeting until a little bit later in October. October 10th is our next professional development day. So looking forward to that. We have a number of technology sessions that are being run by our teacher leaders. So teachers have choice that are speaking directly to what's coming out of that Mass Q Evaluator report and our strategic plan too. So
Good.
we'll look forward to coming back and telling you about it.
We shouldn't come to school that day.
Not on October 10th. It's children, no. Teachers, yes.
Anything else, Amy?
No, thank you.
Steve?
Just, looks like we have a pretty exciting series of musical events. I counted at least 13 on this document that we got tonight, and want to wish all the students and participants good luck, and thank the department for what's always a knockout.
And thank the
Whenever I
department.
go, I'm always blown away.
And thank the department for our 2 complimentary tickets that we each received.
Katie,
will.
anything?
No.
Bill? Motion to adjourn?
I motion we adjourn.
Second?
Second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Good night.
Thank you.
Night.